Hello, beautiful Piscean family, and welcome to June 2020. This month has a lot to do with activating heart energy for Pisces. And I really love that for you. This is an extremely powerful month. We have two eclipses. We have the second half of Venus retrograde. We have Mercury starting a retrograde in Cancer, and we have the solstice as well, and there's all this shift over happening in really powerful parts of the process. We also have the last part of Mars moving through your sign this month, and Mars will be with you almost all of June as we do all this other exploratory work, and I think that's really bolstering in so many ways. You know, there's a lot of juicy energy, like I said, around your heart, and I guess I think about that, this idea of heart and this idea of like courage, right? The word courage is based on the Latin root for core, which is heart. And this idea of courage not being about, I don't know, like blasting through things and, you know, forcing ourselves through scenarios, but the courage to show up to our own lives authentically and powerfully and beautifully. And I think so much of the energy this month is going to be tapping into that. So let's talk through some of the things that are happening in the sky while I start to shuffle here. This month is about a lot of authenticity, and you know, you're going to see a lot of fun memes going on around the internet about how this is going to be a tornado of a month with eclipses and retrogrades and all of that. But in fact, this is a very natural rhythmic pattern of the year. We always have eclipses. We always have these retrogrades. We don't always have these retrogrades, but these retrogrades are very common, and they're working together and in tandem here to wrap up these last 6 months, help us push forward into the next. And this is not about what you're supposed to be doing. This is about what you can feel emanating from within you as far as what you want to create next with the world as it is now. Not in the lamentation any longer, but in the opening up to what is now and moving forward. So we start the month off right away with a full moon in Sagittarius and a lunar eclipse. It's only a partial lunar eclipse, so not highly visible, but that's happening in your 10th house of how you show up in the world. You know, it's really immediately bursting onto the scene with this powerful energy, right? We have Mars conjunct Neptune in your sign on the 13th, which I think is really going to do this interesting thing for you all, which is that Neptunian dream energy is going to be asked here to step into action. So translating some of that energetic quality you have that's way out there into the physical world. And then, of course, we have Mercury beginning its retrograde in Cancer, your fellow water sign, on the 18th. And this is where this fifth house heart chakra, childlike play, creative, curiosity energy is going to be starting to get really strong. So the second half of June, just be aware that your heart is going to be speaking to you. That electromagnetic field is going to be wanting exploration, is going to be wanting voice, is going to be wanting attention. So keep that in mind. So Mercury begins retrograde in Cancer. Then we have the solstice and the sun moving into Cancer. And then on the 21st, we have the new moon in Cancer and a solar eclipse. So all this energy is going to be asking you to tap into your heart. 7 of Pentacles. Ooh, assessment time. And we're just going to pull 4 cards today. I want to keep the message really crisp and clear for us in June. We need that right now. In order to trust into ourselves, we need very crisp, simple, clear messages. 6 of Cups. Okay, lots of reflection going on here at the beginning of our reading. But yeah, as we move into Cancer season, the energy, first of all, gets a little bit more supportive of you and your natural rhythms, but it also gets a little bit more like, okay, you know, what are you going to create next? This is a visionary time for Pisceans, and will continue to be so into July. And, you know, if you're riding the waves of these eclipses through the 21st, when you come out the other side of those, there is an understanding and a firmness and resolve of vision that I think Knight of Swords, yes. That will be really beautiful to watch. So kind of be aware, these first 3 weeks are truth bringers. They help crack us open. They help us see from new vantage points. They help us close out everything we've learned the first 6 months of this year. And they help us prepare to step onto the other side of these eclipses, which are very transformational and are kind of like walking through a door. You know, you're walking through a door. And 10 of Cups. How beautiful is that? Yes, I really love this because for Pisceans, it very much is that up until Cancer season, there's a lot of this internal rumination. You know, Gemini season, we have Venus retrograde in Gemini until June 25th. We have the sun moving through Gemini through the 19th and the north node of the moon in Gemini right now. And all that energy has to do with your internal home system, you know, your secretive internal system. And this is a great cocoon time for you to reflect and look back and integrate. And I think integration is a really important thing. And if we try and skip it, sometimes we end up getting pulled back to go do that integration work in the midst of everything else happening in life. So it's an important step in the process. Now, the trick with that is we don't want to stay for too long, because then we can kind of start getting pulled into the fantasy of the illusions, and we can start to get a little addicted to the familiarity of the past. And that's another thing that's happening this month, is that Jupiter or that Neptune goes retrograde on the 23rd as well. So your ruling planet is doing its annual retrograde. It's a very normal one. But what that often does is it kind of clears up a bit of the mistiness of life and helps us see things more clearly. And that can actually help you incorporate and move on from things. For me, what I'm seeing here is that there's a really deep understanding of this looking over the process, and that there's this, you know, things that maybe you would have harvested before and things that have been beautiful in other times in your life are coming up in really vivid technicolor. I mean, we are working through Venus retrograde, so this is also a time of combing through life, combing through past love, combing through past experiences about our self-value and our self-worth, combing through the things that we've labored on before. And like I said, there is value in that because we can often see so clearly how those things helped shape who we are now. Now, here's the decisive thing, and here's where there's this powerful balancing point going on, because this is when you choose, you know, there's a point when you've culminated and you've gotten it inside of yourself that you can then let it go. And that's what's going to be asked of you here. And here's where that heart chakra energy starts to get activated. Here's where that idea of courage that was coming up for me in the dialogue around the month of June for the Piscean clan came in, because look at this sudden infusion of new energy. Wow, this has such a different qualitative feel to these other two cards, the Seven of Pentacles and the Six of Cups, which are so much about the past, so much about looking over your shoulder, so much about taking that moment to integrate. These are visionary, future-focused energies if I ever saw them, and they are welcoming you and inviting you into a very bold future. You know, the Knight of Swords comes in and slashes through the cobwebs in our mind, right? The Knight of Swords wants to take a risk, wants to take a chance, wants to get in there, wants to communicate, wants to speed forward. You know, you might have some blunt personalities. You might also be finding that you get a message or an idea unstuck from in your body, unstuck from somewhere where you had to keep it in your heart, and you allow it to come through as an expressive form for you. This may be a time where you find the courage to express what you really need, to set healthy boundaries, to be a little bit more clear on where it is you want to go. This is also about kind of being able to see how to get back on the wind, you know, like a bird, and have your wings spread free and to be floating on the breeze and to be back in the world again after a time of communion with the internal. This is a creative, playful, conversational, curious, intellectual, stimulating energy that wants to pull you forward into the next chapter. And what does that next chapter have to do with but the Ten of Cups? Hello. Hello, Ten of Cups. I love this for you guys. This is also future focused vision. And I really like it in this old deck. This is my mom's deck. And it was printed in the 1970s and early 1970s. And it's kind of just graphic the way that there's like this black floor, and then there's just this huge doorway of a rainbow that they're going through. It's kind of like abstract in a way. Like where are these people that they're in this dark environment that they're going through this bright white doorway? You know, it's kind of wild in this particular version of the Rider-Waite. But that's the thing. You know, this is a doorway time. We have to, you know, 10 of Cups takes some courage because we do have to choose that door. Knowing that, yes, we are self-accountable beings and we get to choose how we react to things and the thought patterns we want to cultivate and who we want to cultivate into. However, you know, that when we choose to step fully into something, we choose to fully step into our life, that we also know that there are things that are beyond our control. And that's the true definition of vulnerability, is that we know that we can offer whatever it is that we are and who we are, our heart, our creative vision, what we want to share with the world, but we have no control over how other people react to it, how the environment reacts to it, that there are forces bigger than us, that we're not supposed to be carrying everything on our backs. Right? We're not supposed to be in the role of fixing everything all the time, but we have to kind of surrender into that. And that is what's kind of being asked of my Pisceans here is, yeah, there's an adventure ahead here. We're stepping through a doorway, and this could be in deep partnership for sure. The closeout of Venus retrograde at the end of June, the way that I've felt through that, especially with it working through Gemini, is that we are able to fully step into something much more clearly once we've made it through this Venus retrograde, because it helps each of us declutter and release anything that we've needed to since the last Venus retrograde. And it helps us just kind of culminate, finalize, and be prepared to step through the next doorway. And you may be finding that by the end of June, after we've made it through these eclipses and we've closed out Venus retrograde, that you are willing to say what it is that's on your mind, ask for what you need, and go through this doorway. But it does take the courage of listening to this heart leading you somewhere, and maybe you can't write down on paper exactly why it is that you feel you need to go explore this or experience this. You may not be able to give somebody a nice report of it typed up, written, here's logistically why this will work, but you can feel it inside of yourself, right? I have a solstice blessing for my beautiful Pisceans out there. Keep in mind that this Gemini into Cancerian season is a really powerful calibrator from you. We're going from the cocoon of the fourth house, the internal, to the brilliance and boldness and the childlike creative playfulness of Cancerian energy for you. So there's a whole big transformational process going on ahead. And yeah, just lean in, listen in just that little bit more. Here are your solstice blessings. May your heart lead you forward. May healing and connection surround you. May stepping into your full creative power feel exhilarating and free. May any burdens lift from your shoulders. May the sun's path guide you into new worlds. Cheers to you. And this is water, by the way. I am on the hydration game here in the warmth of May. So it's going to be a beautiful June. It's going to be powerful. Get ready. I'm ready. I'm so excited. I'm so curious to sit in and lean in and listen. And like I said, we are going to be doing all of that fun work together as a little sweet community over on Patreon. I would love to see you over there. I'm so grateful to those of you who have already joined me. It means the world to me. I learned so much from you, and I'm so excited to be offering more and more over there every single week. So I would love to see you there. I will leave the link below. It's the best way to work with me right now as we dive through some of these big shifts in June and July. You can also find me on Instagram at SarahVerba or on my website, SARAHTAROT.com. I'll leave all of those links below so you know how to contact me and find me. And of course, I'm wearing PinkLune's gorgeous jewelry, so if you're looking for something beautiful to adorn yourself with, you can go check out her Etsy shop. I love you all so much. I will see you again here on this channel in just a little bit for our big full moon eclipse in Sagittarius.